Hi, I'm Richard Murphy, Technical Marketing Engineer with Cisco. This video is going to just talk about the installation process of the video mesh. Now, I could go over every one of these bullet points and talk to them in depth, but in reality, what we want to actually see is this live. How would you actually install it on a system? What does the configuration look like? What needs to be done on the control hub? And let's go over now and let's transition over into the demo. So for the installation process, there's several different things we need to do. And first off, we need to get the software. So I've logged into Control Hub, and I'm going to go over to Services, and I'm going to scroll down and find where it says Video Mesh. Now yours may look slightly different because I've already installed some, but I can do Resources, View All, and then go to Settings. And if I scroll down to the bottom of the settings page, you'll see it says Documentation, Download Full Version, Download Demo Version. So I'm going to click on Download Full Version. So let's go ahead and deploy the OVA. So we're going to deploy the OVA template. We're going to go pick the local file where I've downloaded it. I'm going to select the file here. And we have videomesh.ova that we want to install. Click Next. I want to give it a name. So I want to change the virtual machine name to RTP1VMN. And then hit Next. That's fine. We'll do it on server. Alrighty, that looks good. Hit Next. Now you have the option here to do the MM410V, which is one of the older platforms that we had from a hardware perspective. As you can see here, it used 46 vCPUs, or the present version of the CMS1K hardware, which is used 70 vCPUs. So in a production environment, I would use CMS1K, but since this is just a test lab environment to save on CPU resources, I'm going to use the MM410V. In this example here. So I'd validate. All right, thick provisioning, lazy zero sounds good. All the rest of it looks good. Click Next. Now I can choose the internal and external interface. So this is here on the VMware level where it's talking about what destination VLAN do I want each one of those to be on, when in fact this particular interface, even though it shows it here, is still not active until you actually configure it on the video mesh node to have that secondary NIC available. So we'll leave those there in the default. That's fine for now. Hit Next. Next, that's fine. And let it install. Okay, so let's ping the video mesh node to make sure it's active. So now I know it's up and operational after the reboot. I want to SSH into it. So let's SSH into it. Let's get configuration. I've now got access to it, so it's now going to come up and show us the CLI version of things. So we can display the configuration like we saw. And now you can see everything is correct. Video Mesh 3, there's the IP address. Everything that I've actually configured is there. You can still notice that the external interface is not configured. I can edit the settings via number 2. Number 3 allows us to change the passphrase. So if I want to change it from the admin or whatever password I just put in there, I can now do it through this particular screen. Diagnostics gives you the ability to look at what's going on from ping, trace route, and troubleshooting relative to the video mesh node itself. External IP interface, this is where you'd actually enable and disable it, and you can actually configure the same parameters that you would just a second ago on the IP address, mask, and gateway. I can also manage the route tables here. So this is where I'd go in there and say if I have this turned on, how would I actually change the different route tables? And it's not going to allow me because I don't have the actual external IP address set up. But I could do that underneath option number 3. And then lastly, shutdown and reboot. So now that we have the video mesh node up, we actually have it configured with an IP address. It is available via DNS. What do we do next? So next thing we need to do is go into the Control Hub. So we're going to go into the Control Hub. Now from here we want to actually add the video mesh. So we're going to go into Surfaces. We're going to scroll down to Video Mesh, View All Settings. We're going to add a resource here, which brings up a screen that says, do you want to create a new cluster or an existing cluster? So let's create a new one. Since we're doing this, let's call it RTP cluster. And then from here, we can either put the IP address or FQDN. So I'll just put the IP address just for this particular case. We'll hit Next. Now what it asks you, when does it want to upgrade the particular video mesh node? So I can actually choose a time frame here. anytime in the morning, and I can pick the appropriate time zone throughout the globe. And then you won't see release channel, but that's basically the production channel that's out there available to everybody. And then we're not doing SIP TLS configuration, so I have that turned off in the global configuration, so that's not an option. So now what it's saying is, okay, now you've got this configuration in Control Hub. We need to go access the net mesh node to kind of authenticate it and bring it into the organization. So going to the node itself, it's going to give me a warning. That's fine. Accepted. Now it's checking the node, redirecting the node to the cloud. And what it's saying here is verifying that you want to actually register this node with UC Demo Lab, which is the lab I want. And this is the IP address on the node. So by clicking this here, I'm saying, yes, I agree with that. And now we're going to start the authentication process. Validating the account. Registering the node. Registration complete. And then it's showing you right here, all the details about the check. So the post-registration configuration checks. You can see I could click on any one of them and say, here's the details of what I was trying to get to. Just like you can see anything that's going on about it, so know where it's going to make sure that you don't have any firewall related issues. And then what we want to do is go back to the node on Control Hub. I can go back to the previous page, or I can actually click on the link here, which I just did. So now we're going back into the Control Hub, and it's going to show us that node. So you can see RTP cluster is now created. We didn't have that before. It's red. So let's go ahead and click on that and see what's going on here. Video mesh node is right here. We can see that we've got it. So that's 255.23, which is the one we're talking about. It's got the software version. Oh, it says it's registered right now. So it's registered and it's in the organization itself. So what's going to happen here is in the background after it does this, it goes and does a software check to make sure that all of the containers are up to date. It's going to do an installation of the software behind the scenes so that until everything's on the updated versions, you can see here, installing a new version will actually be in a state where it's not operational. And once it's actually installed in the new version, it'll be completely become running and be available to everybody else. So even though it's running right now, it's installing a new version. So it's actually not accepting calls. And once all this action is done, the video mesh node will be up and operational. This process could take 5-10 minutes, kind of in that range, depending on how good your network is from a connectivity standpoint. But generally in that range of 5 to 10 minutes, you'll see it on average. So once that's done, the video mesh node is up, operational, and you're able to use it with any of the clients. Now the demonstration's over, I just want to recap and show you these are the exact steps that we just demonstrated across the video. But if you need more information, there's lots of helpful links that you can actually look at. For example, the data sheet, the installation guide, the release notes, and the network requirements document. It's all available to you on help.webex.com or cisco.com websites. Thank you for your time and hope you enjoyed the video.